Hello friends and welcome to my channel. This is Maria and I really appreciate you being here. Today we're going to work on a card inspired by Lisa Curcio in her YouTube channel using the Festive Foliage, the stamping set from Stampin'Up. I am using my Misty today so I can get a really good impression because this is a rather large image, and so I really want to be able to stamp it twice if it's needed. I am also using Versamark ink because we're going to emboss this later on. I am really getting that Versamark in there so I get enough of it. And then pushing. This is a little trick. If you have a bigger stamp like this or several stamps that you're stamping at the same time, using that dry board eraser works really well. Now I am getting the gold embossing powder here and getting it all over that beautiful image. Just flick it with your fingers a little bit to get all the stuff, all the rest of it out. And I am just going over some little places to make sure it's all covered. Now we are going to heat emboss it. And you will always know that's heat embossed because that powder really starts turning into a beautiful golden look. I'm sorry I'm a little off camera. This is my second video ever and I'm still trying to get the right gadgets to use and to take good videos. I promise my next video is going to be a whole lot better. I mentioned that I'm embossing these in vellum, and what we're going to use next is we're going to use watercolor markers. I'm sorry about that. And I'm just using really a cheap option from Amazon. I have never used watercolor markers. Jesus, I can't talk today. In the past, so I didn't want to go and get all excited and get the expensive ones. These work fairly well. I will link in down below. I will link with the ones I got and the ones I've seen using other crafters. Stampin'Up doesn't have a watercolor marker option. They do have some pencils with that setting, but I'm still fairly new to using those, so I will practice and then we'll make one card with that. I am using two tones of red, one more into the wineish red and a lighter Christmas red. And I really unfortunately don't even have the actual names of these reds, but you get the picture. We just have a beautiful darker red. Now I'm trying my greens because there's several leaves in here that I am coloring, but they're different kinds of leaves. So I'm using a more olive and lighter olive in it, and we will use another type of green, a more of a Christmas green. As you can tell, I'm just using the darker on the lower part of the leaves and then using a lighter marker on the top, so and blending them together. I have to say that although I've never used really watercolor markers, it was a really nice experience for me, my second time. The colors do blend nicely, and it's just, it looks really beautiful in person. Now Lisa, in her card, was utilizing markers, just regular markers from Stampin' Up. And because these are markers, she was using it on the back of the vellum and not where the embossed piece is at. But because these are watercolor markers, we are able to paint on the top of it right next to the embossing. Um, as you can tell, I really speed up these part just because it kind of it's slow, but it really looks gorgeous, gorgeous. Those reds and greens mix and match with the gold. It's just beautiful to look at. I had changed my mind here. I was thinking I was going to paint those extras with green, but I went with red. I really like red. It's one of those colors that, oh God, it really speaks to me. So couldn't help but adding some extra red. I am putting here some extra color in some tiny areas, and it's just a darker green. Now we're working on getting our card. The base is the cherry cobbler cardstock from Stampin' Up, and it's just a 5.5 by 4.25 card. Uh, You can tell here I'm really struggling. I am not sure why I'm struggling this much, trying to create that mat for the card. Uh, and I left it just because I felt it was hilarious how somebody that's been crafting for such a long time got completely confused with the measurements. I am using now a die from the gingerbread collection that got out to get my sentiment in, and I'm going to use a stamp that says "We wish you a Merry Christmas," I think, and I'm going to also heat emboss that in white. I always say when you are working on cards on any handmade goodie, really you are not working towards perfection. You're just working to make somebody happy. And I am just there cleaning all the leftover whiteys, even if I put some extra powder there so it wouldn't get extra white powder. It always does. I am heat embossing that out of the camera, and now we have our card mostly. I'm putting some tape on the back of my card, and I tend to do this way because it's just a little bit easier. You'll see what I mean. So I put the tape there, and then I am calculating the amount of thread I'm going to use um, to put with in the front of my card. I'm going to give this, you'll see later, about 2 turns. Now I'm just adding some more tape here to my gold foil. These gold foil also you can find in Stampin' Up, and it's also in the supplies below. And there you go. And so I put these, here comes the thread. And so what I did is I left the tape already there and tied it even all in all, because that way when I take it off, uh, that will help the thread stay where I want it to stay. Here I'm using just some dimensionals, and that I am taking away with my adorable pick. I just love that, and going there. And this is what I mean. Oh, using the pick again, just love it. Oops, right there. But then I'm able to just get that thread exactly where I want it, and it won't move because it will be sticking to that tape. And I'm just putting the dot exactly where I want it so it looks good. And this is our finished card. Well, almost finished. As you can tell, it took me a little bit to get it exactly where I wanted it. But after fiddling with it for a little bit and putting things exactly where I wanted, it just looks gorgeous. Now I am going to show you here in a minute another card I made using the die for the gingerbread sweet, and I'm here just putting my card again so you can see it up close and looking at this beautiful card I made with those dies. Please let me know what you think from these two cards in the comments below, and see you next time.